Hello, welcome back. Continuing the series from last week on exploring different style systems, today I'm going to be diving into the Style Roots system by Ellie-Jean Royden. And to make it a little bit more visually interesting than the last video, today I'm going to be styling some outfits using this system. I'll be honest, I found the Style Roots to be much easier to approach and grasp than the Style Key. I think the Style Key system just requires deeper introspection and it's not as visual. There's more abstract ideas involved. But the good thing about the Style Key system is that it outlines the 3 steps of style. First, understanding your essence. Second, understanding your style logic. And then third, incorporating the visual aesthetics. And my last video was about the first 2 steps. So today is about the 3rd step of bringing that visual component, which a lot of us will find to be the most exciting and fun part. So I'm gonna walk you through the system as I understand it, and I also want to show you how I use the system in a way that makes the most sense to me and that gives me some freedom to explore. I also want to talk about how the Style Roots can be used as potential clues in figuring out your essence in the Style Key system. So hopefully that will give you a holistic picture of how the 2 systems can be used together. Let's start with a brief overview in case some of you are not familiar with the system. So the Style Roots system is created and developed by Ellie-Jean Royden, who also runs her own YouTube channel, Body and Style, and she's also the author of the book, How to Dress Your Best. So the Style Roots system uses 8 sources of style inspirations, which are inspired by nature, and you can come up with different combinations of these 8 style roots to help define your own unique personal style. And the suggestion is to focus on the top 3 style roots and incorporate elements of each of these 3 roots into your outfits in order to add more dimension and depth to your style. I should also note that the style roots are not defined by what looks good on you physically, but they're defined by your taste and your personality. So the objective is to find your flavor of authenticity and style by steering away from a simple copy-paste of aesthetics, but instead incorporate elements that you like from these inspirations in your own unique combination that makes sense to you. I really like that the system aims to differentiate between what looks good versus what I like. And in that sense, I see some parallels to the Style Key system because both of them provide a chance for more exploration and introspection about who am I as a person. And I think that's always beautiful. So for me, finding my top 3 style roots wasn't difficult at all. I took the online quiz and I got my top 3 style roots right away. They're moon, stone, and earth. So this online quiz asks you 16 questions and tells you to select your top 3 answers. And each of these 3 style roots, the moon, stone, and earth, they each got 10 answers. And when I browsed through the Style Roots Pinterest board for this exact combination of style roots, I found all of the styles to be very relatable because they're literally how I dress on my most casual days, especially on days when I'm working out or when it's colder or raining outside. I just feel like Vancouver is such an outdoorsy city that the earth element is such a core part of dressing for this city in the most practical sense. But I have to say that I do find these styles to be a little bit boring. Like, I don't want to dress like a moonstone earth combo every single day. I want a little bit more excitement based on the context, you know? I was also a little bit surprised to get earth over mushroom as my top 3 style roots. I mean, I definitely expected moon and stone to be up there just based on my 3 style words, comfortable and rebellious. And I thought that mushroom would be my 3rd style root because my other style word is minimal, right? But mushroom actually came in at 4th with 8 out of 16 answers. And that just made me realize I must dress a lot more for practicality than I realized. I mean, like I said, just being in Vancouver and all. And that must also mean that I am influenced by my external environment more so than I think. And this also led me to think, Okay, if I know for sure that moon and stone are my top 2 style roots, then why not create outfits with these 2 plus each of the remaining style roots, so I can create outfits by rotating my 3rd style root. So I decided to rank the remaining 6 style roots based on the number of answers I got from the quiz, and in order I got earth, then mushroom, then sun, then flower, then fire, and then mountain came in last. So I browsed through all of the 6 Pinterest boards with these unique style root combinations, and I decided to gather some outfit inspo pics so I can style outfits based on them. Alright, so we're going to start with the moon, stone, and earth combination. And I've got my first inspo pic on the left side, my first outfit on the right side. This is definitely a style that I wear regularly, especially when the weather is a little bit colder outside. I know the items are not exact like for like, but you know, the vibe is similar, and that's the whole point of drawing inspiration. So the boots with the low heels and the oversized outerwear both add that comfortable, sporty, and practical element of the stone style root. The plaid and the toque add a strong earthy vibe, I think, with both the pattern and the color. And the black leather accessories, especially with the chunkiness of the boots and the black top underneath, add that edge and hardness of the moon style root. Now with the next outfit, again, there's slight variations with the colors and the fit, but the overall vibe is pretty similar. The black denim jacket with the ribs and the raw hem on the shorts both add edge to the look. The boots also add a level of hardness, but they're also quite practical. The oversized fit of the jacket and the slouchy bag add comfort, and the deep red color of the bag and the suede fabric are both earthy elements, while the baseball cap is a sporty element. Now with the next outfit, I absolutely love the relaxed fit of this outfit with an edgy feel, both definitely very stone and very moon. The graphic tee adds edge, but I was thinking maybe the orange color can be what adds that earthy element. I just think that any colors that are like orange, warm browns, sort of your typical autumn colors, can be really easy ways to add that earthy element to the look. And it's also why I've added this brown bag. I just really like the simplicity of this look. There's not many layers going on, but it works well. And then here's another simple outfit, and this I can pretty much create an almost exact copy of this outfit with a white tank top, dark denim, bloodstones, the gray washed out hat. But here's my variation of this look, which I've actually worn this exact outfit last week. So instead of the white tank top, I went for a black tank since I decided to wear white sneakers instead of bloodstones, and I decided to add the earthy element through wearing a brown jacket instead of wearing bloodstones. And with wearing the jacket, since I'm covering my tattoos, which kind of add that big edgy element to the look, I decided to wear this faux leather necklace to add a little bit more of an edginess. And then I just threw on a brighter colored hat just so the attention is not all drawn so harshly to the white shoes. So the two outfits are slightly different versions, but I would definitely wear both. And here's another outfit that's literally my go-to outfit. This is what I wear on my workout days. I go to dance classes twice a week. And so instead of wearing trousers and Converse, I'm wearing sweatpants and New Balance. They're just a little bit more comfortable and workout friendly. They also add a bit more of a sporty element to the overall look. And I've got an overall dark color theme which adds the moon element. And the overshirt I'm wearing is actually in this Western cowboy style, which is what adds the earth element. And the red bag I just threw on just because I like the color combo with the burgundy and the red, but I can also definitely go with a black bag. Now we're moving on to the moon, stone, and mushroom combination. With the first outfit, I've pretty much worn this exact outfit before in a previous styling video, except I had a different bag and different accessories. I mean, do I really need to say more? This is so quintessentially me. And with the next outfit, again, this is just totally me, just an easy summer outfit. It's simple, it's dark, a little bit sensual, it's definitely comfortable and casual. Now with this next outfit, I don't have gray trousers, but I'm actually really liking this brown and black combo. I've got some simple black sneakers on, a white tank top with minimal jewelry, the brown sunglasses match the minimal vibe as well as the color of the trousers, and I decided to wear a black crossbody bag instead because it adds a little more of a casual feel to the blazer. The blazer is slightly more structured than what I like and what I normally wear, and I think the crossbody bag just helps tone it down a bit. Now with the next outfit, I've decided to wear a maxi dress instead of trousers because I actually think what I like the most about this inspo pic is the slim long silhouette rather than the trousers themselves. I also think the black against the denim works really well, but I don't have black trousers, so this is what we're working with. I think the flat and narrow sneakers work well with the dress, and I've decided to switch up the hat to something other than a baseball cap, just because I feel like I've already used the baseball cap a lot in my previous outfits. Now with this next outfit, the maxi skirt already has a lot of details with the tassels and slits and all that, so I'm keeping the top pretty simple without any sort of graphics or embellishments. I mean, the oversized black denim jacket already has some frayed hems, and that's another added detail, so I'm going to keep the top underneath pretty minimal. I'm also trying to keep everything else pretty minimal with the accessories, but always with a little bit of an edgy and comfortable vibe. Now let's move on to the moon, stone, and sun combination. With the first outfit, I've worn this in a previous video on styling myself with vivid spring colors. Like, these were the exact outfits that I styled in that video. I just think that the brightness of the colors adds such a strong sun energy to the looks. And a lot of outfits from that specific video, like these ones, were very similar to the inspo pics already. And we can see that both the moon and the stone style roots are always incorporated into my outfits. There's that dark element as well as a relaxed and comfortable element. So here's something that's slightly different than the previous looks. I really like the plaid shirt peeking through in this inspo pic. So I took my husband's shirt. He's a big fan of plaid, so he's got a lot of these. And I wanted to show it a little bit more, so I actually tried wrapping it around the waist. The look is definitely not minimal, which is one of my 3 style words, but I actually don't mind this look. I think it's kind of cute. Moving on to the moon, stone, and flower combination. The first outfit is very similar to what I've shown you in the moon, stone, and sun combo, but I think the fisherman sandals with the socks just looks a little bit cuter, a little bit more girlish. It is still edgy, but not as mature looking. From the inspo pic, I really like the idea of layering a top underneath the dress, but I feel like the leather jacket on top is a little too much for my liking, so I just decided to leave that out. And the khaki bag just adds a little bit more of a casual and comfy feel, which is that stone element I need. And I feel like it just helps with toning down the dressiness of the dress. I'm actually having the toughest time so far with incorporating the flower style root into my outfits. It's very outside of my comfort zone, very opposite from my preferences, but I think in this outfit, the shorts with the lace trim adds a little bit of that girlish element. My first instinct would be to go with boots for this outfit, but I tried sandals with rounder toes just to add a little bit more of that cuteness, like I said. And I got the idea from the inspo pic, but there is no way that I am styling my hair in that way, so just gonna leave it at that. This next outfit is honestly where I'm like really comfortable at. There is that small level or a hint of the flower element with the skirt being a little bit flowy and whimsical, but I can't really imagine myself wearing floral prints, especially delicate ones like these. If anything, I'd rather wear bold flower prints. They're just so opposite from my usual preferences. I do think that they are definitely a fun way to just explore and think about different styles. Moving on to moon, stone, and fire combination. This first outfit is literally my go-to going out outfit if I'm just stuck on what to wear. And I have worn it out on several occasions, so I was really surprised to come across this inspo pic because it's very similar to what I normally wear. With the next inspo pic, I think it's the slim, skin-tight silhouette that adds the fire element, so I didn't really think it was necessary to add a print. The boots and the necklace and the all-black color scheme add edge to the look, and the slouchy bag adds a relaxed feel of the stone element. But I can also add a baseball cap here just for more of that casual, sporty vibe. And then with this next outfit, this vest has always made me feel a little bit sexy, like with the cleavage and the leather, the length being cropped. I do think that the short shorts from the inspo pic is a little too much skin for my liking, so I'm gonna opt for a long maxi skirt instead. The overall silhouette of the skirt is slim, but it's just much more comfortable than tight shorts. The flats are also comfy, but they're edgy as well. The mesh is quite sexy. I've worn a similar outfit like this before, and that made me realize that fire definitely comes a lot more naturally for me than flower. I think it's the sensual aspect that I just feel more comfortable with than like a cutesy girly vibe. Lastly, we have the moon, stone, and mountain combination. And honestly, I actually think that the inspo pics from the moon, stone, mountain combo are so cool. Especially this one. I have worn something similar to a wedding before, except the shoes were different. I absolutely love this outfit. It's just not that practical for everyday wear, but definitely something I'd consider for special occasions. I do find blazers to be really tough to style for daily wear, especially working from home, living in Vancouver. I feel like I need a special occasion to wear blazers. They're not bad. I own a lot of blazers, but something about them just makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I think it's the structured aspect of the garment. It is probably why mountain came in as my last style route in ranking. It's not that I don't like the look of the aesthetic itself, I just don't find them realistic. But I do think that the mountain style route is such a fun way to incorporate menswear, like this leather jacket I have from Topman. I really like the square shape and the boxiness of this jacket without it looking too oversized. I think it has just enough structure, and this is definitely an outfit I've worn before and will be wearing again. So I feel like all of the outfits that I showed you are some variations of what I wear on a regular basis, or something that I have worn before, either out in real life or even on my videos, which I do normally wear in real life. So in that sense, I think that figuring out your top 3 style routes and really honing them, becoming experts at incorporating the different elements from each of the 3, that's a really good strategy. But if you're indecisive like me, sort of based on the flavor of the day or the season, or if you kind of feel bored with your top 3 style routes, like how I kind of feel a little bit bored with the moonstone and earth combo, even though they're very practical, I think that having 2 constant style routes and experimenting with your last one is kind of a fun way to explore different styles. I think Ellie-Jean says that having 1 style route feels a little too costumey, and then having 2 style routes feels more like an aesthetic. So having 3, that 3rd style route is what really adds that personal touch. But what if you want a little variety in that personal touch, right? Because I have worn some variations of all of these outfits in the past, and I don't necessarily think that they look chaotic or that I'm all over the place. I still feel pretty grounded in my sort of constant flavor of style by the moon and the stone aesthetics. I'm always drawn to something dark and edgy, and I'll always lean towards being comfortable and relaxed. So I think it's just a personal preference thing. Some people might prefer having 3 constant routes and just playing with the varying levels and the different variations of the combinations. And some people like me might like to explore a little bit more and feel less bound by having 2 specific routes instead of 3. I do think that both are just different ways of practicing your creativity, and one way is not right or wrong or better or worse than the other. That's sort of my take on this. And then, like I mentioned earlier, if we were to make that connection back to the style key system in terms of my essences, the style routes are a really good way to do that, because my preferences are based on the inner me, and that probably has to say something about my essence. For example, the moon style route, I feel like that can kind of be a left essence trait with the whole mystery and the enveloping energy. Obviously, this is not a direct comparison, don't quote me on this, but I can just kind of see that relation in my own head. But also, mystery can be an up essence thing because it has to do with sort of drama and intimidation. And then with the stone style route, that could be like a down essence trait because it's all about comfort and how I feel. And I mentioned in my last video that I've been kind of debating between the up and the down essence in the style key system. And comfortable is my practical word when it comes to the 3-word method. And I'm just a little bit confused on whether comfort for me is like a sensory need, which is a left essence trait, or if it's a true down essence trait. So I think having stone as one of your top 3 style routes can probably be a clue to either the left or the down essence in the style key system. If I were to make this connection between the style roots and the style key, and again, this is just my opinion, so, take it with a grain of salt. I think with Earth, there's the whole like elemental gravity aspect of the left essence. The Gaia obviously is very much an Earth term to me, but I think it can also relate to the down essence, right? Like in literal terms, down to earth, because having that earthiness kind of comes with a level of ease and approachability. With the mushroom style root being very like refined and put together, I definitely see some parallels to the right essence, and also with the mushroom style root being quite understated, that could also be related to the down essence. Now with the sun, I think it's really straightforward. The right essence is called the sun, and words like radiant, luminous are obviously very right essence based. But when it comes to the sun style root kind of being bold, daring, experimental, and loud, I think that can relate to the up essence as well in the style key system. With the flower style root, obviously with it being so delicate, I just cannot help but see the connection to the down essence. And the flower style root also has this dreamy quality to it, which I can very much see it being connected to the right essence. And then fire is very sensual, which is an obvious left essence trait, but things like glamour, lavish, intensity, all of that relates to the up essence in my head. And lastly, with the mountain style root being like commanding, strong, structured, I relate that to the up essence in terms of a sense of intimidation. And I'm not sure why, but I just associate the mountain style root with the left essence almost automatically. And maybe it just has to do with the name mountain because it is elemental. Again, these are not direct comparisons or parallels by any means, so please don't quote me on any of this. This is just my own opinion on like the potential alignment between the two systems. I do think that what's more important when it comes to the style logic is like how to put items together, right? It's about understanding my own thought process and the intention and the execution of my style based on that. So is there truly a relationship between preference and essence? Maybe. What I'm naturally drawn to probably says something about my energy and my essence. So that's kind of how I envision using the two systems together when we're thinking about the 3 steps outlined in the style key system. The first and the second step is really about figuring out your own like sort of mental process. And then the third step, you can use style roots, or you can use any other typing systems like color analysis, Kibbe, Kitchener. Like most of the typing systems out there falls into this third step, right? So it's about executing your style according to your logic and your vision. Of all of these different systems out there, I feel like the style roots and the 3-word method are the 2 systems that sort of include your preference. It takes your preference and your personality into account, and again, that could provide a link back to your essence. So those would be my systems of choice when it comes to this third step of figuring out the visual aesthetics. But you can pretty much use any of the systems that you feel at ease with and you're comfortable with. If you haven't watched my last video on figuring out those first 2 steps, I'll link the video up here for you. I hope you enjoyed the video and the outfits, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, stay unique and stay gorgeous.